Today we are on the topic of permutations and combinations. I will bring you to look into the concept of division and distribution. Now let's start off by using these three sums to investigate, some of the properties, the things to take note when you do a division and distribution. Let us begin. Now, question 1. How many ways can we arrange three letters A, B, C? Now the answer to this is very simple. There's two ways, or at least two ways of doing it, but I will be showing you only two ways. Now, so method 1, I believe all of you will know, is just 3 factorial. Okay? Now what is method 2? Now method 2 will be, now the first letter you choose from A, B, C is you have 3 choices. So 3 choose 1, followed by 2 choose 1, and followed by 1 choose 1. Alright. Now if you do it this way, then permutations already taken into account of, because each of them are just one letter. Now let's look at question 2. Now how many ways to divide 5 distinct objects into one group of 2 and another group of 3? So this is question 1. Now, question 2. Now you have 5 distinct objects. So let me just represent them by A, B, C, D, and E. Now let's choose the group of 2 first. Alright, so you have 5 choose 2 times. Now choose 2, you're left with 3. So 3, you choose 3 out of 3, so it's 3C3. That is the answer for number 2. Now let me list it out, so that you can understand it better. So 5C2, you have AB, AC, AD, AE, BC, BD, BE, you have CD, CE, and DE. Now, so if A, B are chosen, then the rest will be C, D, and E. Alright, this one forms a group. Okay? And how about this? AC. Then you have B, D, E. This one have C, D, E. B, C, D. You have A, D, E. This one have A, C, E. You have A, C, D. And then you get so that is all right. Now let's see, you have A, B, E, and this group, then you have A, B, D. You have A, B, C. So altogether you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them. Now let's move on to question 3. Now for question 3, how many ways to divide 4 distinct objects into groups of 2? So let's say you have A, B, C, and D. Now, so you choose 4 out of 2. So you have 4C2 times 2C2. Now, many of you or some of you would think that this is the correct answer. Now, this is not correct. You need to divide by 2 factorials because you have 2 groups of 2. Now, why do we divide by 2 factorial and yet we don't divide by 2 factorial here? Because over here, permutation, there are permutation between the 2 groups. Just like this. Each of them are group of 1, alright? So there are permutations involved. Let me list this out and show it to you so that you can understand it better. Now 4 choose 2. So what are the possibility? I have AB, BD, and CD. Alright. Now, so I'm left with CD, there's another group, AB. Now, there are 6 of them. But if you look at it closely, these 2 are the same. Alright? These 2 is are the same. And these 2 is the same. So you realize that instead of 6, there are only 3. So that's why you need to divide by 2 factorial. Because there's permutation involved. Alright? Whereas this, why don't we need to divide by 2 factorial? Because it's different. Because one group is 2 and the other group is 3. Alright? So you find that it's different. Alright? You don't need to permutate in this set because the number of items in each group are different. Okay? Now you look at this. Come back to number 1. Now this, all of this, you multiply by them, 3C1 times 2C1 times 1C1. Over here, permutations is involved. Alright, so this answer, alright, is already taken into account of the permutation. So that's why this is the same as 3 factorial. Now with that understanding, let's move on to another question which is very interesting. Question 4. How many ways are there to distribute 4 identical books to 5 people? Now there are various methods to do this question. Today I'll be teaching you 2 methods. Now let's start off with the longer method first. Now let's look at case 1. Alright, case 1, you can divide the books into groups of 1. So you have 1 book, 1 book, 1 book, 1 book, and the last one will receive 0 books. Now the people are different. There's no such thing as identical people. Even twins, they are different. So you need to permutate this. Alright, how many permutations are there? So over here you have 5 factorial divided by 4 factorial, and you got 5. Let's look at case 2. Case 2, let's now divide the books into 2 and 2. Now that means the 3 of them, the remaining 3 will have 0 books. So it's 0, 0, 0. Now how many permutations are there? So you have 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial divided by 3 factorial. Okay? And that gives you an answer of 10. Case 3. Case 3. Let's now divide the books into 2 groups of 2 followed by 1 followed by 1. The remaining 2 people will get 0 books. So how many permutations are there? 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial divided by 2 factorial. Okay, this you will get 30. Okay. Now case 4. Case 4, let's say you divided them into groups of 3, 1, and the remaining 3 people will get 0 books. So how many permutations are there? So it's 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial. You have 20. And there's a last scenario where it's 4. It's just into one group, alright? 4, then the remaining 4 people will get 0 books. So you have case 5. You have 4 followed by 0, 0, 0, 0. This you have 5 factorial divided by 4 factorial. Okay? The answer is 5. So the total number of ways will be, so the total number of ways will be the sum of all this. So you have 10 here, 20, 50, 70. So altogether 70 is the answer. Now, this is method 1. What is the other method which I'm talking about? So I have method 2. Now, 4 identical books. Now this method is useful for when you want to divide identical objects, alright? Just like in this case. So you have 4 identical objects. Let's name the book A, and A. Now you want to divide them into divide among 5 people. That means you want this to be, and 0 is allowed, alright? 0 is allowed. 5 people, so I must put 4 sticks, alright, to have it in groups of 5. Let's say we put the stick this way. What does that mean? That means the first person get 1 book, second person get 1 book, third person get 1 book, fourth person get 1 book, and the last person gets 0 book. Alright, how about this way? We put A. Now I include 5 people, so I must put 4 sticks, alright, to have it in groups of 5. Now, so let's say now I put the stick in this way. What does that mean? That means the first one will have 1, second one will have 0, third one will have 0, fourth one have 2, and the last one have 1. Alright, let me show you another one, give you another example. Let's say we have 4 books now. Again, 4 books. So I must put 4 sticks. So let's say I put 2 here and 2 here. That means the first one will have 1 book, the second one 0, 1, 0, 2. Alright, so there are 5 groups. Now this one is called the stick method. That means it is as good, the number of ways will be as good as how many ways can we arrange? 4 A's and 4 identical A's and 4 sticks, because I want 5 group, alright, so I must have 4 sticks, alright. If I want n groups, then I must draw n minus 1 stick. So the number of ways would be 8 factorial divided by 4 factorial divided by 4 factorial. So what is our answer? So the answer will be 8 times 7 times 5 times 6 over 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. This and this cancel out with 8. This is 2. You multiply out, the answer is 70. Alright? Let's look at question 5. How many ways are there to distribute 4 different books to 5 people? Now similarly, just like the sum earlier, we can divide the 4 books into groups of 1. So how many ways can we divide them into groups of 1? Now please note that the books are distinct. It will be 4C1 times 3C1 times 2C1 times 1C1. Now then we need to permutate this. Now not forgetting the books are different, alright? It's not 1, 1, 1. The books are A, B, C, D. Okay? So you times 5 factorial. Okay? The books are different. So you don't need to divide by 4 factorial. But over here you need to divide by 4 factorial because within this there are permutation, alright? Remember what we the front part of the lesson, alright, because the numbers is the same, alright, and we are choosing from the same group, so there are permutations involved. Whereas when we permutate this thing, alright, itself, alright, after dividing them into groups of 1, we don't need to divide by 4 factorial over here. Okay, now so what will we get? And we get 1, 2, 0. Now case 2, we divide the 4 groups into groups of 2. So for this, we got 4C2 times 2C2. Now the number of books in the groups are the same. So there is permutation involved. Alright, so we need to divide by 2 factorial. Alright, because 2 groups. Now then we need to permutate these 5 objects. Now how many ways can we permutate them? You got times 5 factorial. Now 3 of these are similar. So you divide by 3 factorial. Bear in mind the books are different. Alright, so we don't need to divide by 3 factorial and 2 factorial. No need. Just 3 factorial because of the 3 zeros. What do you get for this answer? Now if you press the calculator, you realize that this is equals to 60. Now case 3, we are dividing it into groups of 2, 1 and 1. So it will be 4C2 times 2C1, because after taking 2 books you are left with 2 books, then times 1C1. Now these 2 groups are the same, so there are permutation involved. So you need to divide by 2 factorial. And how many ways are there for us to arrange these 5 objects? Bearing in mind these 2 zeros are identical. So you times 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial. Okay, and then you got an answer of 360. Now next, if we divide the 4 books into groups of 3 and 1, alright, so for this, you get 4C3 times 1C1. Now you don't need to divide them by 2 factorial or whatever, because the 3 books and the 1 books, they are different, alright, so there's no permutation involved. We have discussed this in the earlier part of the video. Then you have, now how many ways are there, can we arrange these 5 objects? Alright, so you multiply by 5 factorial. 3 of them are identical, so you divide by 3 factorial. So you get an answer of 80. The last scenario, the 4 books is just into a group of 4, so you have 4C4. Now how many ways can we arrange these 5 objects? So it's times 5 factorial divided by 4 factorial. The answer is 5. So what is the total number of ways? So total number of ways will be, you add all this up. Alright. Now this and this 420. 420 plus 80 is 500. 500 plus 120 is 620 plus 5. So total is 625 ways. Now there's a shorter way to look at this sum. Now, you look at it, you have 5 different people. Alright, this is method 2. Alright, I will do method 2. Let the 5 people be represented by A, B, C, D, and E. Now, so the first book you can give to any 5 of them. Alright, so the answer is 5. Now the second one you can give to, how many ways to give out the second book is also 5. So 5 times 5. Third book is also 5. Fourth book also 5. So in total there are 5 to the power of 4 ways. So your answer is 625. Okay? Now so you realize that for identical objects you can use the stick method. When the objects are different, you can use this method too here. But it's important to understand the longer methods because sometimes they will tweak the questions and then you have to react accordingly. So it's important to know the basic fundamentals so that you can adjust according to the question.